Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the December 10th, 2025 Planning Commission hearing. My name is Holly Cuellar, and I serve as the chair. Today, Commissioner Hippen is unable to be with us as she is out of town. Before we get started, I've asked Commissioner Plumley to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll go ahead and introduce the commission, and we'll have our planning administrator, Caitlin Alcock, introduce our staff. We'll go ahead and start to my right with our council.
Don Royce, Assistant City Attorney.
Michael Mauch, I have the pleasure of serving the city as the at-large representative.
Walter Camp, representing Kempsville, District 1.
John Cromwell, District 2, Pungo and Blackwater.
Hi, Mike Anderson, District 3.
Hi, Catherine Byler, District 4, which includes Town Center, all the way up to the Norfolk border.
Holly Cuellar, District 8.
John Costin, District 9.
Catherine Schoonover, District 5.
Brian Plumley, beautiful District 6, from historic SeaTac to the north end.
Nina Morjani, District 10.
Caitlin Alcock, Planning Administrator. Clerking to my left, we have Briatney Harrison and Grace Smith. In the audience, we have Planning Director Kathy Warren, Deputy Director Carrie Buchholt, Zoning Administrator Hannah Sabo. With our Planning Administration team, we have Marshall Coleman, Kristen Bauer, Mike Hayes, Alexis Bailey, Mark Reed, and Ellie Dauernheim.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, if you could please describe the rules and order of business for today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Virginia Beach Planning Commission takes pride in being fair and courteous to all parties in attendance. It is important that all involved understand how the Commission normally conducts its meetings. It is equally important that everyone treat each other and the members of the Commission with respect and civility. We request that cell phones be put on silent during this meeting. This is an abbreviated explanation of the rules. The complete set of rules is located in the front of the Planning Commission agenda. Following is the order of business for this public hearing. Withdrawals and deferrals. The chairperson will ask if there are any requests to withdraw or defer an item on the agenda. Consideration of these requests will be made first. Consent agenda. The second order of business is the consideration of the consent agenda, which are those items that the Planning Commission believe are unopposed and which have favorable staff recommendation. Regular agenda. The Commission will then proceed with the remaining items on the agenda. When an agenda item has been called, we will recognize the applicant or the representative first. Following the applicant or the representative, in-person speakers will be called next, and then the speakers participating via WebEx. Speakers in support or opposition of an agenda item will have 3 minutes to speak per item, unless they are solely representing a large group, such as a civic league or homeowners association, in which case they will have 10 minutes per item. If a speaker does not respond or if a technical issue occurs, which renders the comments unintelligible, we will move on to the next speaker or the next order of business. Please note that the actions taken by the Commission today are in the form of a recommendation to the Virginia Beach City Council. The final decision to approve or disapprove an application will be made by the City Council. The Commission thanks you for your attendance, and we hope that your experience here today leaves you feeling that you have been heard and treated fairly. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next order of business is the consideration of requests to withdraw or to defer an item. At this time, do we have any withdrawals? We do have one withdrawal that was sent to the Commission. Its applicant Courtney Ebron has requested a withdrawal from the docket. She is not present, but because we have the letter on file, we will now ask for a motion for approval of the withdrawal.
Move to withdraw.
Moved by Commissioner Plumley. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Byler. Any further discussion?
The vote is open. By a recorded vote of 10-0, item 12 has been recommended for withdrawal.
Thank you very much. Our next item would be matters that were to be deferred. Do we have any deferrals today?
Good afternoon. Item number 3, by the City of Virginia Beach, we are requesting an indefinite deferral for the ordinance pertaining to roll-off containers.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to this deferral? Seeing none, if I could have a motion, please.
Move to grant deferral.
Second?
Second.
Motion to grant deferral by Commissioner Plumley, seconded by Commissioner Byler.
The vote is open. By a recorded vote of 10-0, item 3 has been recommended for indefinite deferral.
Are there any other representatives for deferral? Seeing none, we do have a letter on file for application number 4, John Hunter Dora III and Katrina Dora Revocable Trust. I'm looking for a motion for that deferral.
Move to defer.
Okay, and just for clarification, the request is deferral for
30 days. Yes, 30-day deferral.
I second that motion for a 30-day deferral.
The vote is open. By a recorded vote of 10-0, item 4 has been recommended for 30-day deferral.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. The next order of business is the consent agenda. I'm going to turn that over to the Vice Chair to run that portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today we have 12 items on the consent agenda. These are applications that are recommended for approval by staff and the Planning Commission concurred. There are no speakers signed up in opposition. First items we will deal with are the 4 recordations of minutes, and we've asked Commissioner Kemp to read this item into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. This part of the consent agenda consists of the minutes of 4 meetings of the Planning Commission. The minutes are moved for approval subject to the corrections already submitted by planning commissioners. These meetings were September 24th, 2025, Planning Commission retreat, November 12th, 2025, informal hearings of the Planning Commission, November 12th, 2025, formal hearing of the Planning Commission, and December 4th, 2025, site visit, subject to abstentions from 3 commissioners who were not present at the site visit. Those are Chair Cuellar and Commissioners Cromwell and Plumley.
Thank you, sir. The next item on our agenda is item number 1, City of Virginia Beach resolution to schedule monthly meetings of the Planning Commission. We've asked Commissioner Kemp to read this item into the record also.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. This resolution is to set the monthly Planning Commission of the City of Virginia Beach schedule for January 2026 to December 2026. The regularly scheduled public hearing meetings shall take place at noon on the 2nd Wednesday of every month from January through December, except for November, when, in observance of Veterans Day, the meeting has been moved to the 2nd Thursday, which is November 12th. The resolution also schedules the informal public hearings that take place at 9 a.m. on those same dates.
Thank you. Our next item is item 5, Cohen Residential LLC property owner, Barbara A. Kaysen et al.
Thank you, Mr. Costin. Madam Chair, for the record, Eddie Perdon, Virginia Beach attorney representing the applicant. We appreciate being on the consent agenda as proffered. I also wanted to just mention, because I didn't see it in the write-up, that we did appear before the TATAC ITA committee and presented this to them, and they did vote that it was consistent with the plans for the transition area and had no opposition to it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any opposition to this item being placed on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we've asked Commissioner Cromwell to read this item into the record.
The applicant is requesting to rezone 5.03 acre parcel from AG1 and AG2 agricultural districts to conditional R10 residential district to develop 4 new single-family lots with a resulting density of 0.79 units per acre. The site, located along Leroy Road, is within the transition area and is currently developed with 1 single-family dwelling. Each new lot would contain over 1 acre of land and have at least 80 feet of frontage along Leroy Road, satisfying all dimensional requirements of the R10 district and the lot size and density recommendations for the transition area. A portion of each new lot is proposed to be preserved as open space. The total preservation area is 3.18 plus acres, or approximately 63%, exceeding the 50% minimum open space required by the transition area design guidelines. Hearing no opposition, this item was placed on the consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. Our next item is item 6, Brink Quality Construction, LLC.
Again, for the record, Eddie Burdon, Virginia Beach attorney representing the applicant. Sean, the owner of Brink Quality Construction, and some of his employees are here with us this afternoon. Again, we appreciate being placed on the consent agenda. I neglected to thank our departing planner, unfortunately, Michael Hayes, for his work on the previous application and on this application. And, you know, he'll be missed, and we appreciate his service and appreciate being on the consent agenda. Thank you.
Is there any opposition to this item being placed on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we've asked Commissioner Byler to read this item into the record.
The applicant is requesting to rezone this 1.91 acre split zone parcel from B1 Neighborhood Business District and conditional B1 Neighborhood Business District to conditional A18 Apartment District to develop a multifamily community with 18 townhouse-style units with a resulting density of 9.6 units per acre. Each of the 18 proposed townhome-style units will have a 2-car attached garage. Staff finds the proposed request to rezone the property A18 Apartment District acceptable. The subject property is located within the suburban area as identified by the comprehensive plan. The proposed development is in keeping with the scale and character of the surrounding area. We know of no opposition, and with staff approval, we consider this appropriate for the consent agenda.
Thank you. Item 9 is Matthew and Jessica Firm conditional use permit. Could you please state your name for the record?
Matthew Firm.
Thank you. Are the conditions acceptable to you?
Yes, sir.
You may be seated. Thank you. Is there any opposition to this item being placed on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we've asked Commissioner Cromwell to read this item into the record.
The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for a home occupation to perform small parts repair within a portion of a detached garage on the 22,075 square foot AG2 agricultural district zone parcel. The work area will be approximately 200 square feet. No signs or advertisements are proposed for the property. The applicant will be the sole operator of the business. No other employees are proposed. Hearing no opposition, we place this on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Item 10 is Allison Huff, property owners, conditional use permit for open air market. Please state your name, please.
Allison Huff.
Are the conditions acceptable to you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
Is there any opposition to this item being placed on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we've asked Commissioner Anderson to read this item into the record.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for an open-air market to allow the continued operation of a food truck on a portion of this 65,750 square foot B2 Community Business District Zone parcel. The applicant received a zoning complaint on July 25th of this year for the operation of a food truck without an approved peddler's permit or an approved conditional use permit for an open-air market. To rectify this issue, the applicant submitted the subject application. The applicant's food truck, Beach Bum Coffee, is a standalone food truck located in the southeastern portion of the parcel. The primary structure on the property operates as a commercial kennel. Hearing no opposition, we put this on the consent.
Thank you. Item 11, Legacy Land LLC, property owners, Viking Drive Holdings.
Again, Madam Chair, Eddie Burdon, Virginia Beach attorney, representing the applicant. The applicant would have been here, but I called him, let him know it was on the consent agenda, and he saved the gas. Appreciate being on the consent agenda. All 6 conditions as recommended by staff are accepted, and appreciate Marshall's work with us on this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any opposition to this item being placed on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we've asked Commissioner Anderson to read this item into the record.
Thank you again. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a bulk storage yard on approximately 1.54 acre portion of a I-1 light industrial district zone parcel. The site is located within the greater than 75 decibel DNL and APAS zoning and is encumbered by a Navy restrictive easement, and is within the special economic growth area, West Oceana. The proposed use of a bulk storage yard is considered compatible with use within both the noise and accident potential zoning. So hearing no opposition, we put this on consent.
Thank you. Our next item is item 13, property owner Cooper Family Living Trust. Is there a representative in the facility today? Yes. Jesse Ryan, property owner.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Please state your name for the record.
Jesse Ryan.
Thank you. Are the conditions acceptable to you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
Is there any opposition to this item being placed on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we've asked Commissioner Schoonover to read this item into the record.
The applicant, Jesse Ryan, has requested a conditional use permit for a short-term rental for the property at 919 Pacific Avenue, Unit B. Hearing no opposition, this item has been placed on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Last item for the consent agenda is item 14, 215 4th Street LLC property owners. Is there a representative in the building today? Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Dan Jones.
Are the conditions acceptable to you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You may be seated. Is there any opposition to this item being placed on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we've asked Commissioner Schoonover to read this item into the record.
The applicant, 215 4th Street LLC, has requested a conditional use permit for a short-term rental for the property at 215 4th Street. Hearing no opposition, this item has been placed on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Madam Chair, that was the last item on the consent agenda. The Planning Commission places the following applications on the consent agenda. 4 records of minutes, items number 1, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 13, and 14.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Do I have a motion to approve by consent as read by the Vice Chair?
I move that these items be accepted.
And do I have a second?
Second.
And are there any commissioners abstaining on these items on the consent agenda?
I am abstaining from the site visit minutes of December 4th, and I'm also abstaining from item 10 for reasons set forth in a letter with the city attorney's office.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Plumley. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Costin, seconded by Commissioner Byler, and the noted abstention of Commissioner Plumley on item number 10.
The vote is open.
That was quick.
Yeah.
By a recorded vote 10-0, with all aforementioned abstentions, all aforementioned minutes and items 1, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 13, and 14 have been recommended for approval by consent.
And just to, Madam Clerk, for clarification on the record, Commissioner Plumley just wanted to ensure that his vote was correct with the noted abstention.
Right, and we'll reflect the correct mover and seconder for the verbatim.
It has me as the mover, and I think it's John.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
and it wasn't called out specifically, but it was read in as part of the motion. There are 2 additional abstentions on those site visit minutes. Those are captured by staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is always our goal to have all of our votes and minutes correct, so thank you to the public for your patience in that. If you have an application that was on the consent agenda, your request will now be scheduled for an upcoming City Council meeting. Staff will contact you about the date. For those applicants on the consent agenda, thank you for your participation. You're welcome to continue to join us here today, but you may also go ahead and leave, so thank you very much. Our next item of business is the regular agenda. Our first item on the agenda is the election of our officers of the commission for the 2026 year. I'd like to thank the commissioners who've come forward to serve in a leadership role. There's a dynamic group of volunteers who continue to serve the city on this commission, and it's an honor to serve with all of you. I'm now asked Commissioner Mouch, who served as our nominating committee, and to present the slate for the 2026 leadership roles.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you and Commissioner Costin for leading our group. You both have done a wonderful job. It's been really nice to sit in this seat and watch both of y'all flourish and have productive and great meetings. So with that being said, I would like to nominate Commissioner Costin for chair and Commissioner Byler for vice chair.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? We have a motion from Commissioner Mouch to nominate Commissioner Costin for chair and Commissioner Byler for vice chair, with a seconded by Commissioner Plumley.
The vote is open. By a recorded vote of 10-0, Commissioner Costin has been nominated for chair and Commissioner Byler has been nominated for vice chair, or Commissioner Byler, sorry.
Thank you very much. Commissioners Costin and Byler, congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to add to Michael's comment that Chair Cuellar has done an amazing job. Vice Chair Costin has done a great job, and he's going to do a tremendous job as the chair of this commission. And I appreciate all the hard work and many, many hours that they put in to this effort, countless hours. People don't understand at all the commitment when they are in the public, or even when they come onto the board, what is going to be required of them, and then you soon find out. And so for persons that are willing to step up and take on more, I can't be more thankful to them for doing that, and thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Madam Clerk, we have one matter that we'll be hearing today, and ask that you please call the application.
Our first item is item 2, City of Virginia Beach.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Reed, Historic Preservation Planner. And item 2 in front of you is an ordinance to remove the Historic and Cultural District zoning overlay from the Nimmo Church Historic District. The district is located at General Booth Boulevard and Princess Anne Road, approximately 11 acres. It consists of 2 parcels. The parcel closest to the intersection is a new construction, a Royal Farms convenience store, gas station, and car wash. And then the larger parcel is the historic Nimmo United Methodist Church, originally constructed in 1791, the steeple added to the front of it in 1893, and then several additions built onto it in the 20th century. It also has a fairly extensive cemetery and open space as well. There you see a picture of the church. You see the steeple, 1893, and right behind it, that section is the original 1790 section. And the Royal Farms, as I said, fairly recent, built in 2023. You did receive 2 letters of opposition to this, this ordinance, one from the Historic Preservation Commission, one from the Historical Review Board, both City Council appointed bodies to help protect our historic resources here in Virginia Beach. They note the significance of Nimmo Church as a historic resource, and removal of the zoning overlay would remove protections for the significance and integrity of that resource. They also have noted that it would be a bad precedent to remove this. This is something that has not been done before here in Virginia Beach and could impact the integrity of the city's preservation program. They note that the justifiable reasons for removal of the district are not present. They would typically be that the historic resource or resources no longer exist, they're no longer extant, or that they've been damaged to the extent that they no longer have historic significance or integrity.
Very much, Mr. Reed. If you could just stay there might be some questions.
Certainly.
Commissioner Plumley.
Thank you, Mr. Reed, for your presentation and this morning's presentation. With this particular church, you note the history. Are there any historic photographs, writings, or artifacts that reference this church and its presence in our city or in this community as it existed at the time of its construction or through the years?
Well, I'm sure they are. I don't have a list of all of those. Certainly, if you look at the Nimmo Church website, they talk about how historic their building is, that originally the land was provided to them as a gift by the Nimmo family, that they, prior to building the initial church, had camp meetings on the site, that during the Civil War, the building was used as a hospital by Union troops, and I believe they have found drawings in various parts of the church that date back to that period of time. They do say that it is the longest running Methodist congregation in Virginia, and they also note that the gallery, the balcony that was built in the 1840s was built for enslaved persons so they could attend the services. And after the end of the Civil War and the freedom of enslaved people, that those African Americans who had attended there created their own congregation nearby.
Would the removal of these 2 parcels, well, let me ask it this way. How many parcels will remain approximately within the district should these two be removed?
There would be no land left under the zoning overlay. It would remove the entire district.
So the district would be gone altogether with this request. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for answering those questions for me. I appreciate it.
Certainly.
Commissioner Costin?
Could you tell me what it is the church wants to do that the board won't let them do?
Well, I'm not sure of everything. They note that of maintenance and repair costs for materials and labor, they have not brought any maintenance and repair items forward to the Historical Review Board. In 2021, they did come before the Historical Review Board requesting 4 additions onto the building, 3 of which were approved by the Historical Review Board. The one that was not approved was a large, what they called a welcome center that would be constructed in front of the steeple area, and that was the main problem that the review board had. The steeple is a character-defining feature, so that may be the one item that they want to do that the review board has denied. Beyond that, they haven't presented anything to us. Since 2009, they've come to the review board several times, and that was the only denial they received. Although it was a partial denial, 3 of those additions were approved by the review board at that time.
So you don't know if there's anything new that they want to do?
I'm not aware of it.
Okay. Is there any way we think we could get together and work on this? And
certainly, we have not had direct conversations with the church about the particular ordinance that's in front of you.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Byler?
Thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting to me, and I always try to see all sides, or at least both sides of any particular application. In this one, you appear to make a compelling argument why it needs to stay as it is, as a historic preserved site for the benefit of all of Virginia Beach, as well as for the congregants. Can you please tell me what are the compelling reasons, if any, that we should approve this application?
Well, I don't have any. My expectation is that when City Council has established a historic and cultural district, they're not only preserving it for that present, but also for the future. You don't know who new owners will be, who, in this case, who new trustees would be, that may have different ideas of preservation or even use of the property.
Okay, so I'm not hearing any good reason why we should approve this, other than I think I heard you say that the current trustees were unhappy because they had an application for an addition turned down.
I do know that they were, yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Camp?
Thank you again for the presentation. If I understand correctly, there is a multi-step process when those charged with the stewardship of a building in one of these districts wish to make alterations. We are but one stop in that sequence of approvals or recommendations. Is that correct?
Well, for a certificate of appropriateness, if the applicant in a historic district wants to build a new building, then yes, that would probably come to you. After going to the Historical Review Board, the planning department's policy typically has been to approve the design before it comes forward to you, so there's not a lot of back and forth. If they had to build, if they were building an addition that required them to come through the Planning Commission, then yes, that would also come through you. There might be repairs or maintenance or a sign installation may or may not come to you. I don't know all those details, but yes, in some cases, the COA, Certificate of Appropriateness, that is issued by the review board is kind of the end of the process before they need to get their building permits, et cetera.
So my point is that an advisory body like that board or like this commission is not the end of the road, that there is a sequence of appeals if the outcome desired by the property's custodians is not granted.
That's correct. The state's enabling legislation, as well as the city code, provide for the applicant to be able to appeal the decision of the review board to the governing body, which is the city council. And if the city council should also provide an opinion that the applicant does not agree with, they are able to appeal to the circuit court.
So it would not be correct to say that any board or commission is preventing the trustees of this church from doing something?
That's correct.
Thank you. Second, in the ordinance that is drafted before us, it states that one of the reasons, and I am in the 5th whereas clause, for potentially granting this is that dense commercial and residential development in the surrounding areas has occurred. Now, it strikes me when I look at our own city, other cities, there are many examples of historic structures that remain for the reasons that this type of district was created, side by side with modern buildings, that the fact that something else has come up around them is part of what shows us why we've helped to preserve the historic structure. Could you speak to this rationale in the ordinance that something else has come up alongside as a compelling reason to grant this?
The only recent construction around it is the Royal Farms, which went through the process of approval with the review board. They do not review or approve uses, just design and characteristics. It then came to the Planning Commission and then to a City Council for approval. If you can go back a slide, one more, two more, one more. You can see the slide on the right. There is a lot of open space there in the parcel with the church. Across the street is also, there's a park there, woodland to the east. It is not, it's residential. It's not overdeveloped there. I don't see that other than the construction of the Royal Farms is anything that's occurred recently that they would see as encroaching on their property.
And then my final question is, if I understand correctly, the overlay here, the district, that it speaks to the preservation of the building for the historic reasons that were attached in its application. Uses of that building could differ over time so long as the historic character remained intact, or if the owner applied up through the appeal process that we spoke about for a condition of appropriateness to do otherwise. Am I correct in looking ahead and saying this historic structure could be used for something else if the current stewards found that they were not able to maintain it?
In general, yes. The city code does provide some limitations on uses within the historic and cultural districts.
With attention to brevity, just so we understand how elastic that is, could you give us an example or two of other uses that might be potential for a structure of this nature in one of these districts?
Well, it's certainly residential use is allowed in the districts. There's also retail use that is allowed. It could be converted into a restaurant, such as you used to see at Freemason Abbey in Norfolk, could be converted into a residential living space. It could be used as for shops. Those sorts of things are allowed in the district.
Thank you so much for your answers.
Yes, we have Commissioners Schoonover, and Costin, and Plumley.
I take historical preservation very seriously. I'm a member of the DIR, and so these things are very important to me in general. It's my understanding that the applicant, original application for this to become a historical space was in fact the church itself. Is that correct?
Sorry, I didn't quite.
I understand
the church
that
itself
the church,
was the reason for the district?
I understand the church requested that their property be considered a historical property. Is that correct?
That I do not know. We have some limited information from 1980 and 1981 when this district was created. I've looked in the newspapers, I've looked through city council minutes, but the code provides that the consideration of the views of the property owner will be considered as part of the process. So our assumption is that they approved this going forward, but I do not have specific information where I can positively say they requested it or what their input was.
Were you aware that there was significant water damage on the property and that they were concerned about the cost of making these repairs, especially in keeping with the historical nature of that property? Were you aware of that?
They have not brought that forward to my office or to the Historical Review Board.
Do they have a representative here from the church itself by any chance?
I don't believe anyone has signed up to speak.
I think that's all for now.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Costin?
Well, I was going to kind of ask the same question because I don't feel like I have enough information here to make an informed decision.
Commissioner Plumley?
Mr. Reed, because you're the only person here to address the issue, you're getting a lot of questions. And we appreciate you spending the time with us on it because it is an important issue affecting our consideration of this district and other districts throughout the city. Was there a presentation by the church at the October 15th Historical Review Board meeting?
No, sir, there was not. They were just presented with the ordinance.
What district is this historic district in?
It's in District 2.
In District 2. It doesn't sound as though the departments within our city that are dealing with historic districts and their questions have had much in the way of interaction directly with the church on this question. That's what's apparent to me. Is that a fair assessment?
Correct. It's a fair assumption.
Thank you very much.
I think, excuse me, Commissioner Schoonover might have one more question. No. Okay. Excuse me, Commissioner Cromwell.
In light of Mr. Plumley's direction that there's a lot of questions that on both sides, I move that we defer this for 30 days until we can
Second.
get some clarification on just exactly what is needed.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Cromwell to request a 30-day deferral, seconded by Commissioner Schoonover. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Camp.
If I understand this correctly, the city has created this district. Such districts may encompass the property owned by the city itself or by others. What is before us today is whether the district should continue to exist or not. Nothing specifically about the underlying property owner's property. That's a separate issue. We're being asked, if I understand it correctly, should the city continue to have an area set apart for special treatment? And so I'm prepared to vote on that question today. The issues that may pertain to a property owner within that district, whether it exists or doesn't exist, aren't before us today. That's another matter entirely.
Thank you, Commissioner. Further discussion, Commissioner Plumley, and then Commissioner Schoonover.
There's a lot of assumption that's having to be taken into account because a lot of the church's position is set forth in the whereas of the ordinance itself, as though that's a justification. I've not heard evidence. There's not been presentation by anyone. Mr. Reed's been put in an uncomfortable situation of addressing both sides of an issue when obviously he opposes the passage of this, or maybe I'm taking that too far about his personal insight, but I believe that the historic district, the review committee has said no, and I think that message has been made loud and clear. I hear what's being said, but I think these matters can be brought again. There's no penalty, in my view, for them to be brought again under city law for reconsideration of an amendment to a zoning ordinance. So I'd rather hear the evidence, all of it, before making a decision and have it heard once instead of it being brought again and then we're back to a position where we're doing this. And out of consideration for the council person that put this forward, I think a 30-day deferral is appropriate for that reason. That's why I would support that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Schoonover.
I think we have a duty to have a full understanding of this situation, and as we have not got a representative here from the church to answer some of the questions that we clearly have, I think that a deferral is appropriate, especially in light of the city councilman's participation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there further discussion? We have a motion on the floor for 30-day deferral from Commissioner Cromwell, seconded by Commissioner Schoonover.
The vote is open. By a recorded vote of 10-0, item 2, City of Virginia Beach, has been recommended for a 30-day deferral.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reed.
Our final item is item 7 and 8, Michael D. Siphon, Inc.
Hello.
Before I get started, don't start my clock. I sent an email late yesterday because my secretary was out all day yesterday, and I wanted to make sure if anybody didn't get the email with the information that I sent, I've got copies because I'm going to be referring to those. So if anybody didn't get a copy.
If you want to go ahead and give them to the clerk, we'll pass them out.
Okay.
I know I received it, maybe someone didn't.
I did not bring 11.
Only if you need them.
I brought 5 copies in case.
This is the email from Anita McCorkle, is that correct?
Her email was
Okay.
sent by one of my other paralegals.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. And it should have been somewhere between 4 and 5 yesterday afternoon.
It was more than the email. There were like there's other
I'm sorry?
material. There was other material in addition to the email in those packets?
Well, the email packet that I gave, I only had 5. had a letter from Robinson Development Group and copies of the predominant part of a 2016 staff report for Aldi LLC on property on First Colonial Road to the south of the hospital, a 2017 city planning staff report on an application of Goodwill Central and Coastal Virginia, Inc., both of those two applications having been recommended for approval and having been approved by Planning Commission and City Council to rezone properties in that quarter to O2 office, which I'll refer to and have a couple comments on. And then I highlighted part of the staff report today, noting inconsistencies in the staff's interpretation of the comprehensive plan, and also some traffic issues.
Okay.
But if you've only got one, then you didn't get the whole package. And they got broken up somehow, I guess.
We're all good.
So sorry about that.
That's quite all right. Thank you.
I don't know what else we could have done. Okay, for the record.
Go ahead and start.
Okay. For the record, Eddie Burdon, Virginia Beach attorney, and it's my privilege to come before the commission this afternoon on behalf of the applicant or applicants, Mr. Michael D. Siphon, and he is here, Inc., and he's not an Inc., but he's the principal and owner of it, and 1120 First Colonial Storage LLC, which Mr. Siphon is also the owner of, having purchased the property from the doctor, the First Colonial Family Practice doctors. They had a different entity. My doctor, I believe some of y'all have been patients of that practice, and they have a very old building. They will be there for another year, and they have empty space in that building, and they, like a lot of other medical practices, are somewhat downsizing. And telemedicine's kind of changed a little bit of the way practices work, but yeah, every practice is not the same. The proposal is to demolish the existing functionally obsolete building. It's over 60 years old, and to replace it with a two-story office building designed storage facility, and it's a mini storage facility for individuals. It's not a commercial warehouse. We have put, we've offered to put in the 11-foot wide multimodal trail that's in the comprehensive plan in front of the property. The building is brick, and it looks like an office building. Looks, I would suggest, better than the building that's sitting there now. It is one that Mr. Siphon built over on Indian River Road about half a century ago, maybe 20 years ago. That I know Mr. Hayes has been by it and said that was exactly what he thought would be a good design for the building on this piece of property. We have parking in front, not a sea of parking, more than what's required, but we felt that made it look more like an office building. This use will result in a significant reduction in the amount of vehicular traffic to the property, and as anyone who's lived here, as I have my entire life, can tell you, First Colonial Road is a very congested thoroughfare. And most of the traffic that would use this facility is on the weekends, and with the exception of probably the next 2 weekends between now and Christmas, traffic on First Colonial Road is lighter on the weekends than it is during the work week. The taxable real estate tax on the current building, what is currently being taxed, is $29,000 a year. This facility will be taxed by the city for real estate taxes at $175,000 plus. So there's a significant increase in the real estate tax and a considerable lessening of traffic on First Colonial Road. The letter that I passed out, if anybody doesn't have it, I'm sorry, from Robinson Development speaks to the fact that they built the most recent medical office building in this corridor, just on the south side of the hospital. Their original plan was approved to build a 3-story building. They wound up only building a 2-story building. It's a beautiful building. They cannibalized the medical arts building that the Waitzers built on the corner of Old Donation and First Colonial Road. It's a 4 or 5-story beautiful building that is also one of the newer buildings out there. They took gastroenterology from that building, where I have to go every few years for that wonderful colonoscopy, and put them in the Robinson building. And as his letter points out, they're glad they only built 2 stories, and they have a site for a building next to it. They have no intention at this point to build. And that is the reality of what is out there today. And this, with all this discussion about the vision, this corridor, I grew up here, this corridor has always been, but there's a seed change that occurred, has always been medical and residential. Nothing in here talks about residential. That's what it is. It's a residential corridor where the hospital is located, the only hospital we had in Virginia Beach until about, 25 years ago, unless you count Lee out there at the city line with Norfolk. And then Bayside was the next hospital. And as of, and up until 2004, this whole corridor had the potential to be more residential. There are over 1,000 multifamily units in this short distance from the stoplight at Mill Dam to the 7-Eleven. Over 1,000 multifamily units. And there is undeveloped land, which I have highlighted in green on the handout, or what I emailed, on the front of today's staff report, directly across the street from the hospital, a considerable amount, I might add, and also on the Aldi application highlighted on the front page in green, which is located between the south of the Town Bank building down to the entrance to South Hall Quarter, one of those many multifamily developments in this area. So the reality is 2004 stopped any more residential development along this corridor. This property cannot be developed residentially. It's in the noise zone. It's not allowed. Michael this morning indicated that this use was inconsistent with, and he said senior housing. Well, guess what? You can't do senior housing either in this corridor unless you do it north and everything's developed, north of this property. So that is the seed change that no one really has paid a whole lot of attention to. And that block by Article 18 in our ordinance, which was, no, I'm not here to complain about it, but that's the reality. There's nothing that can be developed residentially south of this property in that corridor, and that goes all the way, out to General Booth Boulevard. Now, you can have residential, some additional density at the ocean front, but that's it. That's it, unless you plan on seeing, ADUs put in the backyards of single-family homes in Allenton and other beautiful neighborhoods that have been the city for 50 years. And that means there's no significant likely increase in patient potential for the hospital or for doctors' practices. That doesn't mean that the market is going to crash, but it means we got a lot of property out here that is either functionally obsolete and needs to be redeveloped, which is the parcel on the south side across from the Medical Arts Building that's also owned by the Waitzers, who have little one-story medical offices that have been there for 50, 60 years. They've been under 1-year renewable leases for the last 3-4 years because they were hoping to build another building like the Medical Arts Building. It's not going to happen, all right? There isn't a demand. That's the bottom line. And without demand, and there's a greater supply already in place and other potential supply in place, excuse me, or available to be built that people would be willing to build if there was, but the cost, the rents aren't there because there's no demand. And that's the reality we have. So when you look at the 2 reports that I provided to you all, the Aldi in 2016 and the Goodwill right next door in 2017, those talk to neighborhood serving businesses because that's what, the reality is that's about all that's left that can happen on these undeveloped piece of properties. And the other thing that I didn't mention is financial banks. There's always been a lot of banks in that corridor because there's a lot of doctors in that corridor, all right? But banks aren't expanding, they're cutting back on their branches. And so it's the same problem. That was the goodwill. Bank of America used to have a large presence. They're not there anymore. Langley Credit Union, I think, took over their site. So those are not expanding footprints. They're not going to be, and that's what the commercial real estate brokers have told us, and that's reality. Now, let's talk about this use. There is no self-storage facility from Hilltop, the intersection of First Colonial and Laskin, all the way up First Colonial, up Great Neck, and that includes Great Neck from London Bridge all the way from south to north, from London Bridge to Shore Drive. The only one is one of the old-fashioned one-story drive-ups that is located behind Serena's and the sushi restaurant that is little shopping center that's located between Harris Teeter and Food Line. That's it.
Mr. Bourdon, I know that, you have a lot to say, but your time is up.
Yeah, I've got a lot to say. You're right.
And I respect that, but I also think that there'll be questions from the commission. And so we can incorporate some of your other
Since
points.
there's no opposition here, I figured I could pontificate. But I'm happy to answer any questions, but I can go into more detail if you'd like to hear it.
Commissioner Schoonover and then Commissioner Plumley.
It was my understanding that you all had attempted to find some medical use for this space and were unsuccessful because the market had been saturated. Is that correct?
No, that is not accurate. The doctor's office that's been there, they own a group of them. Some of the older ones who've retired own the building. The practice was the primary tenant, and their footprint is reduced, and they have leased some space, some they've not been able to lease in the building, and they're downsizing. So they're the ones who are, and Mike purchased the property just within the last 35 days. They want to sell, they're able to stay there for another year, and they'll move elsewhere and occupy less space. In this, I'm sure they'll be somewhere in that same corridor, which they won't have a problem finding space. But no, we have not looked at putting medical office there. The staff had asked the question about whether we could do some office on one floor, build a fourth-story building. It's a two-story design, but storage facilities use smaller up and down vertical space. But the problem that there are lots of problems with that, but the main one, the foundational one, is parking. All right, one floor of parking. To serve one floor of anything that's office, you're going to have a whole lot of parking, and so it's just not feasible. Nothing like that exists, and people have to have access, to get in the building. Theoretically, I guess you could do something small amount of space and make the parking work, but you can't possibly do one floor of anything other than the storage. The storage is what works on the property, and there's a tremendous demand for that in that area because there isn't any, and there's a lot of multifamily and a lot of larger homes with a lot of outdoor furnishings and things of that nature that people use storage facilities like this to store their things during bad weather, the bad months.
I'd seen that as well when I went to look and see what was in the area. You're right, there's nothing around it. It's also my understanding that there have been difficulties filling current space for medical use in other buildings because the market is so saturated. Is that also your understanding?
Correct. There is no, again, I don't want to make it sound like, Chicken Little Sky is falling. There is all the groups that want to be there are already there. I mean, and they're not going anywhere because but the market isn't expanding because of because we diversified our medical, community to the point we have a lot coming on out here at Centera, and we've got some now at Town Center. So and that's where the vision is. Because I can tell you up until after 2004, I still looked at that as being a medical corridor, but at this point, it's going to always be a medical corridor, but it's not just going to be solely medical and residential, because the residential component's not going to be anything more than what's there now, which means it's not going to expand. The need for more medical office is just not going to expand. And there is, if you count some of the stuff that's a little bit further out, but still closest to that hospital, that to the south, and even not really the north, to the south, there's even more. So it truly is not a demand that's going to facilitate it. If there was, the Wasters would have torn down those little one-story, not dilapidated, they're decently maintained, but they're functionally obsolete, and built another 2, 3, 4-story medical office building. And Robinson would have built a 3-story instead of a 2-story, and they could build another one right next to it, which they would like to do. So it's the market that's saying clearly there's no demand to facilitate it. And the cost of construction, you've got to have now rents that are going to be higher. And the rents in that corridor have gone up historically 5% a year. Now it's down to 3%. And that's the same reason. And that's shown in all that documentation that I'm sure y'all didn't, I didn't read all of it myself. I had some people tell me that's what it said. So that's the reality of that situation.
Thank you. Commissioner Plumlee.
All right, Mr. Burdon.
Yes, sir.
We're both over the age of 40.
Well over in my case.
We're attorneys. We're type A personalities. We're going to lower the excitement here because I have some questions to ask, and they just need simple answers. None of my questions reveal my intent. They're intended to gather information.
Hopefully I can provide.
I this morning asked if Centera had been contacted because its hospital is there, whether there's been planning for any expansion with regards to its medical complex. Have you looked into that question?
Expansion that would include the Tidewater Virginia Beach Psychiatric Center?
Any expansion?
No.
Okay.
I'm
Have
not
you
aware of any.
I got the answer. So has there been any research conducted to see if there's any intention within the published plans of Centera, which is a rather large corporation, to do further development in this corridor of any significance? I'm not aware of any. I'm just asking if that inquiry has been made.
No, I think I think the assumption in the commercial real estate industry is that they have made within the very recent past significant expansion. And once again, the property directly across the street, all greenfield, perfect place for them to expand.
I hear your argument. Okay. I had a question, and it was simply whether the research had been conducted, and that's all.
The only case left, right?
Because we don't have a lot of people to talk to, you're going to get a lot of questions, right? Because there has been no opposition. I see Mr. Siphon wants to address some things, so maybe he would.
Yeah, he may know more than I do.
Let me give you the questions, and then you all can talk and see if you need it, if you feel it's necessary.
I'll be brief.
Mr. Robinson, who has incorporated your discussion into a letter and provided that to us for our review, is the seller of this property, correct or no?
Oh, absolutely not.
He's a developer, but not of this particular property.
Nothing to do with this.
Thank you.
No, sir.
It's a question. It's a question. Waiting for an answer. That is all. Third, what the comp plan says, the way I see it, now I went back and looked at it, and fortunately a commissioner had it available because I didn't have it. So I can't pack mule all this stuff all the time. It said it should include access, cross-access between parcels to minimize impacts, and I believe it's saying of the traffic of First Colonial. Will that exist on this plan for there to be crossing through this parking to accommodate, to keep on one side? Understand about the frequency of use of a storage unit, and I don't need a lecture on it. I'm just saying, is there an ability to cross through parcels to honor this component of the comp plan? You may not have an answer. I'm asking the question.
To our south, Virginia Beach Psychiatric Center, there's that building, there's no ability whatsoever to cross anything in as far as a connection parking-wise. They can, however, use our excess parking, which they have a parking issue. And they do not have enough parking, so I am told, on their property. Their parking is all further to the east end of their property, but the building would preclude it. To our north is Goodwill, former bank building, and we have not provided any cross-access to the Goodwill facility. Could it be in some future redevelopment of that property or something? Maybe, but it's zoned same as this is proposed to be zoned.
I understand. I'm just trying to get the concrete features of it
trying to give you
for
a complete
discussion.
answer.
There's not a planned accessibility for adjoining parcels for traffic to cross. That is the answer,
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay.
And that doesn't exist on their properties.
Well, they're not in front of me. So I asked, Mr. Siphon was kind enough to reach out to me, and I think just yesterday, and discuss the project. And I had asked, because I believe part of the effort behind the overlay was to try to assure we would have adequate office for medical services in this district because of the proximity to the hospital, whether it would be possible to modify this structure if in the future the demand rose for office. And he was looking at that question, and I hadn't had a response back. I think there was a possibility, but I wasn't sure if there had been any firming up of that question.
Well, I certainly think structurally that could be done. But the problem that raises is parking. Because
No, I see that.
Right.
And it may be other parking options would be available if a parking facility is constructed nearby and all those things. It was a question to try to bring together the intent of the overlay with the project that was being presented. That's why I'd asked the question.
I would suggest to Mr. Plumlee that it is certainly possible. It's very, 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 very unlikely that there would be enough demand and lack of supply to warrant the entirety of the building to turn into office. I just don't think that's ever conceivable. But if there were some need that could be accommodated with parking elsewhere, that's not an impossibility.
Yes, so my question was about the structural capacity for it to be converted in the future, if it's a building, if that could be looked into, and whether it's feasible or not. I'm not saying it has to be feasible. I'm not saying it has to be done.
And I'm not saying it is either.
Asking the question of whether it could be as part of our process here.
I understood.
Finally, the noise ordinance that you have discussed at length with us, how long has that been in place, would you think?
2004.
2004.
But our perceptions have not caught up with the reality.
I will point out that Mr. Hayes was working on a comp plan that had been enacted as recently as 2016. So the question of whether or not there could be future development of residential was considered at the time of the comp plan when it was put in and approved. None of this means I'm going to go one way or the other, but I want to get an answer, and I want to make sure I have the facts in which to discuss and to try to make an educated decision. And if there's anything else you want to present, if Mr. Siphon wanted to speak, if there's information I've asked that you weren't prepared to answer that you wanted to get back, I want to make sure you have an opportunity. You're the only speaker here to address the subject for us. Thank you very much.
Since you, I think, asked that question about anything I would like to address, in the two staff reports, the one for Aldi in 2016 and the one for Goodwill in 2017, the comprehensive plan recommendation section of both, and it's actually mentioned a second time in the Aldi application. The area, according to the comp plan, at that time, area includes medical offices, rehabilitation centers, senior housing facilities, and a good mix of non-medical uses such as banks, general offices, places of worship, and other neighborhood-based services. And it goes on to call it in the evaluation, continuation of a neighborhood serving use, and that was the 8th grocery store. That's referring to what is the 8th and was then the 8th grocery store in either Hilltop, Great Neck and First Colonial, and then this one in between. There are, as I said, no storage facilities, which would be utilized by the people who live in this community and to the north, west, and east. They may not go to the south, but there's plenty of them there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. We have Commissioner Camp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is for staff at the appropriate time. If the line of questioning continues with Mr. Bourdon or even with the owner, that's fine, I'll yield.
Are there any further questions for Mr. Bourdon? Yes, Commissioner Cromwell.
Mr. Bourdon, could you clarify that you said there was no senior housing allowed to only to the north?
After 2004, you cannot have residential, which senior housing is, it's housing 62 and older, out in the northern part of the city, the northern part of, the ACUs, north of Oceana, there's no provision for any residential, and senior housing is residential. There is senior housing there, that's not going anywhere, but there can't be any more in the noise zone, which this property and everything south of it is in.
So it used to be called the Windermere. It's at the end of the old donation. It's now called Sabre. It's what is it? Old. I can't remember the name. Is that not allowed?
Okay. No, that's solely a memory care facility.
No, this is at the other end of Old Donation, behind the hospital. It used to be called Windermere. It was a nursing home center.
I thought I'd have to look at where the noise. The staff reports, some reason, don't have the noise contours, which used to be in here with the reports. So I'd have to look at its location relative to, but if it's in the noise zone, then the answer is there cannot be any more of it in the noise zone. Outside, then that's okay. But really all the properties developed up there.
Ms. Brookholt?
Yeah, the memory facility that you're talking about, or the nursing home that you're talking about, is in the 65 to 70 noise zone, so it is permitted. Yeah. It's in a different noise zone than this property. This property is really right on the cusp of the 70 to 75 noise zone that limits residential or overnight lodging.
How about across the street? If we went across the street, across First Colonial, it's the same noise zone?
It is directly across the street. Once you're north of Camelot Drive, then you're in the lower noise zone.
Right.
Going west?
Going north.
Right, but you say going west, it's the same noise zone?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And how far does that extend?
Far. That is really the top of the contour, and it starts to wrap down.
Okay.
So once you're north of Camelot, you're in the 65 to 70 noise zone, and that noise contour bends just about behind this property. So the residential facility that you're mentioning is in the lower noise zone at the end of Old Donation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bourdon. Madam Clerk, I would just like to confirm whether or not we have any speakers.
We do not have any speakers.
Okay. Commissioner Camp?
So my question is to the staff, and it's for the same purpose that Commissioner Plumlee opened his line of questioning, which is to build the record here all in one place, because there has been discussion about this application at the site visit. There was discussion today during the informal session, but I would like, for the benefit of those who will read this record and make a decision, to have as many of the pieces in one place as possible. For that reason, I'm asking the planning staff to please tell us what are examples of the permitted types of use that would fit this parcel under the comprehensive plan. We've heard one line of discussion today talking specifically about medical offices, and it may appear that medical offices are a limitation here. But if I understood these other discussions, it appeared that many other types of uses that support the overall medical complex or use nearby would also be permitted. Things that take advantage of the limited time for breaks that staff at these facilities may have or other needs. Could someone from the staff please tell us what are the other potential allowable uses?
Good afternoon. I do first want to acknowledge that Mr. Bourdon's correct, that given the 70-75 decibel contour that wraps around this property, residential would not be permitted, including senior. But a number of other uses would be fitting. Was mentioned banks, which aren't necessarily expanding very much. Any kind of office, not just medical, but as well as restaurants. I believe, again, as was cited in the previous staff report, things like grocery stores and other uses that sort of serve those day-to-day needs within the corridor would also be complementary to the medical uses there, as well as the residential that surrounds the corridor itself.
So it would be correct to state that an analysis of the medical office market is one factor, but it is not the only or dispositive factor about the potential uses for this site.
I think that's fair.
Thank you, sir.
We have another staff question. If you could just stand up there for just a moment, please. Commissioner Byler and then Commissioner Mouch, we can continue. I don't know if do you have a staff question or? Okay, thank you.
Hi, Mr. Hayes, thank you. I appreciated everything Mr. Bourdon said, but I also recall in the staff report and your comments earlier that this could be used without changing the intent. It could be used for many other purposes and not just offices, as Commissioner Camp just pointed out. And I also understand the economic desirability and the desire for the developer to maximize his profit, that many storages can do that. So this comes to me down to a point of what is appropriate land use. So in this area, I understand that we as commissioners are supposed to, if possible, keep to the intent of services for, I believe you said, aging population or elderly as well as medical. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Would this, for example, be appropriate for a nursing home, or would that be precluded because of the noise restriction?
I believe a nursing home would also be precluded, any sort of residential facility.
Okay, but then I heard memory center was allowed. So what's the distinction there?
I'm not particularly familiar with the memory center's operations, but if it operates more like a medical office, I believe that would be permitted. Sort of a day treatment type center.
All right, and I heard the comments about the problems of converting it down the road would be parking. My understanding of that, the parking is a problem only because the building is so big. Is that true?
I think, as with so many things involving development, there's layers of moving parts to it. I mean, in this particular case, yes, the building that's proposed takes up a very large portion of the site. There would be limited opportunity to introduce additional parking based upon the footprint. And then as designed, there's a secure section that runs along the side of the building, for loading and unloading and just to make that a safer operation. So while there is sort of pavement running down that south side of the building, it would be gated off with the way it's proposed to be operated at this point.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
This is slightly out of order, but Mr. Bourdon, do you have something, give an answer to a question?
I do.
Because we're at a different point, in this hearing, but if you have a quick answer to one of the commissioners.
Alzheimer's memory care facility on Old Donation, the Navy actually, because that came before Planning Commission City Council after 2004, the Navy took that facility and they decided that that would be compatible because it was limited to people with Alzheimer's. It's otherwise, if you read the list, it's not, but because nursing is not, but that as Alzheimer's, that's all they have. And it's a smaller facility on Old Donation, and they allowed that in the noise zone, and they did it one other time as well. The Navy did allow that.
Thank you. Commissioner Mouch?
I just wanted to give the opportunity. I think there was a couple of open questions that may have needed some conference between the representative and the applicant. And if any of those questions needed to be answered and you had the answers, I just wanted to allow for that.
Hold on, Mr. Hayes. I have my question for him, but I didn't want him to go back to his seat.
Go ahead, Mr. Plumlee.
Okay, Commissioner Plumlee has staff question.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I didn't want him to have to go all the way back to his seat, come back. Okay, so all the adjacent property owners received notice of this hearing, correct?
Correct.
The hospital's not immediately adjacent. Agreed?
Agreed.
Had there been any communication that you're aware of between the city and Centerra with regards to this application?
No.
Okay, thank you.
We're starting to go off the rails here. This is the last person. And so if you have an answer, I want to be respectful to the order.
Mr. Siphon can speak to, he has talked to Centerra. So if you would like him to talk to you about his conversation with Centerra, I thought that would be appropriate.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Michael Siphon. I'm the developer. I don't usually speak in front of two people, but anyway, thank you all for.
You have 3 minutes, so just so you're aware, when
Okay,
we get to yellow, it gets low, and then red, we ask it.
I'll go quick. Appreciate y'all looking at this situation today. We did talk to Centerra, and they have space available over there at the current hospital building. They don't even have people to take up that space. So I have looked all the way around over there, and as far as the memory center goes, I have a relative that works there, and they can't even keep the place full because the people are constantly there by that time of life. A certain amount of them are passing away, unfortunately, and the places doesn't stay full over there. This is the most compatible use you could put over there for all the reasons said. And as far as how big the building is compared to the land, it doesn't even take up a third of the size of the land. So I think it fits well. As far as you're talking about access across it, Mr. Parmalee, that could be accomplished if that came to where someone needed that. And I've always worked with my neighbors to do whatever. I do think they're going to need a little bit of parking over there at the psychiatric center, because when I go over there, I see cars parked on the left side on my property. Well, yeah, it is my property now. So I see cars parked over there. So I'm going to have a discussion with them to see if I can help them with their needs. And I'll see some police cars and things like that over there. So I'd like to work with them if that's at all possible.
Okay. Just one follow-up, if I could.
Yes.
You were kind enough to talk to me yesterday, and you brought on an engineer to discuss the potential, just the potential, for there to be an accommodation with the structure for potential future development of an office. Is that feasible, or is that not feasible?
No, it is. I talked to my project manager, and on the first floor, we could accommodate that situation.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You have a great reputation in the community. I appreciate your time and coming up here and discussing these subjects with us and keeping control of your turning. It's really important.
He has a lot of words.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Seifman, just pause for a moment in the event that there's another question. Commissioner Byler?
Hi, thank you, Mr. Seifman. I echo Commissioner Plumlee's comments. I appreciate your coming, and your reputation precedes you as having fine developments. On this one, I have a question. You said your building does not take up even a third of the site, but I'm looking at this picture, and the dark green, the dark gray seems much larger than the light gray. So can you help me with that?
Yes, ma'am. Just 1 second. Let's see. Is it 1.81? What? 1.9? What did I buy? Is it 1.81 acres? How big is the acreage?
Your building takes up more than a third of it.
Yeah, you're right about it. It's more like, I'm sorry, you're correct. It's a little over a half. It's maybe 55%.
Yeah, it seems even more than that. It seems to be the majority of the site with very little anything except a large warehouse that is then subdivided into mini warehouses.
2.19.
I'm sorry. I'll do the calculation again for you.
That's okay, Mr. Seifman. I can go.
No, I want to answer your question. No, I want to answer your question. It's 95,396 square feet, and the building, I think, is 50,000 square feet on one floor. I'm sorry, it's just a hair under half.
And then it would be 3 floors of that? Yeah, of storage?
Oh, yes, ma'am, it is a 3-story.
Yeah.
But surface-wise, it takes up a little less than half.
Got it, understand that. And then a question, would you be willing to open up the parking areas on either side so that there would be less traffic going in and out of that one entrance, so they could cross as the comprehensive plan suggested?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Any additional questions for Mr. Seifman? Thank you very much, Mr. Seifman.
Thank you all.
I don't think we have any more questions.
Okay. Well, I want to take 1 second. Michael Hayes was very honest, and he listed 2 compatible uses with some vision: restaurants, grocery stores. What does that corridor lack in either? At each end, they're everywhere. And B2 would be the zoning, not office. B2 here. We could probably put a little restaurant on the first floor, for that matter, of this facility. So the fact that something that will serve this community is, I think the word was used, detrimental to the vision. I don't believe that's accurate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, well, so we will continue now for discussion and to entertain a motion.
I have a motion unless someone else wants to. And I don't want to create conditions that create problems for the developer. That's why we had this discussion. So I'm going to look at you in the face while I say these words, and you can tell me that it's appropriate, it can be done. If I make a motion to approve, first, the condition that there be the ability for vehicular traffic to cross through the parking area from one street to the next, if that is able to accommodate that. I don't want to form a motion that you can't deal with the conditions. I don't have that intent. And second,
When I say that, I'm going to do it on my property. Of course, the neighbor.
sure. Okay. And second, the condition is that the first floor is constructed in a manner to accommodate in the future office use. Okay.
Mr. Seifman, would you be kind enough just to come to the mic so the entire commission can hear you?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir, we could make the building where we could do offices on the first story.
The first floor.
And we could allow vehicular access across our property.
Thank
Yes, sir.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you for staying on the record for all of us to hear. And with that, that would be my motion to approve this project. And I think, Mr. Hayes, I don't like the idea that your last application before us were not going with your recommendation, but I think with the full discussion, we're getting something to help us meet into the middle of this thing. And I appreciate all the work and all the hours that you put into your job here with the City of Virginia Beach. Thank you very much.
We have one comment before I ask for a second from our planning administrator.
Yeah, I just want to quickly point out this is a conditional rezoning and a conditional use permit. So while the conditions can be added to the CUP, the proffered plan is what is presented for you today. There are modifications that are already in the works between Planning Commission and City Council. So those same modifications would have to be done to accommodate the access points.
To the degree it's possible to accommodate my conditions on both those applications, that's the basis of my motion.
Thank you.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor.
I don't know how we can, I think to accommodate the first floor office space has to be in the proffer. So we can modify the proffer between now and city council. I'm sorry to interrupt. But we can clearly handle the condition on the use permit for the cross access. But we'll have to, and we could even do a revised plan, but we've got to proffer the first floor office space.
And to jump in onto that, my concern is with proffers, they have to, you can't make substantial amendments, or essentially would have to be re-advertised and come back here before it can go through city council. And
that is not accurate.
That is accurate. You can't just do any type of amendment to
I
it.
can let the commission know, which I've done dozens of times, that we will modify our proffer between here and city council to include the fact that the first floor will be designed and built to accommodate potential conversion to office. That is absolutely allowed. That it shouldn't be a part of the motion, that's correct. But I'm telling you and Mr. Seif is telling you that's what we will do. And that proffer amendment will be sent on as it has been done many times. And I can give you examples if you want them. But it can't be a part of the motion. That part you are correct about.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Council was advising this commission on council's opinion about the legalities of moving forward. While I appreciate the applicant's attorney jumping in to opine with his own viewpoints, our council was advising us.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Camp. I was getting to that. Ms. Royster.
Yes, and so
You are our counsel. Commissioner Plumlee has made a motion. If we need to amend that, withdraw it, and start again, we ask for your guidance so that the intent of what Mr. Seifman has agreed to.
Yes. So to clarify, has there been a second? I just want to make sure there hasn't. Can it still be it? There has been a second?
No, it has not been
Okay.
a second.
Right. So for a proffer, it can't be added on. He is correct. And so you can make the motion to add conditions to the CUP. We will look at it and make sure everything is good to go between now and city council. If anything needs to change, we will address it then.
Yeah. And so, this is one of these combined two applications. So I'm speaking of an intent with regards to both, and I'm asking for this to be accommodated. I wanted to first make clear that the applicant was in agreement to these things in either sense, and with regards to either the proffer mod and the cup. So it appears that they're willing to modify their proffer. I'm making this recommendation for approval based upon that representation, that their intent to modify the proffer. And if it's accepted by staff, it's accepted by staff. And then with regards to the conditional use permit, that be a condition with regards to our recommendation of approval for the cross-through traffic. So that's the motion with regards to both items as there before. And if you want me to separate it, I can do that and do it in separate motions if you prefer.
What is your recommendation, Ms. Royster?
I think if staff has clear what the motion is, I think we're okay.
Okay, we have a motion on the table from Commissioner Plumley with 2 conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Commissioner Schoonover. Is there any further discussion? Yes, Commissioner Cromwell and then Commissioner Mouch.
Mr. Burdon and Mr. Siphon, in other words, on the first floor, just to be clear, you all are agreeable to making that first floor pliable, so to speak, to accommodate either restaurant or medical or office space? Is that correct? Yes, sir. Versus the recommendation by the staff that it be strictly medical. In other words, it'll have 3 different uses. Am I understanding the?
Maybe I can be clear on what I'm talking about.
Let's take it amongst ourselves for just a second.
Maybe I can be clear for you, John, and answer the question. So this is not about current use. It's about future accommodation. Should there be a market change?
Correct.
And it becomes in the best interest of the city that this be, in fact, an office for medical, okay? That there is the possibility that this building could be used for that purpose if the construction accommodates that instead of it strictly being for storage only. So that, I hope I answers your question with regards to the immediacy would be it's going to be a storage facility. But in the future, the building could still be used, potentially at least the first floor, for office to accommodate that district of medical offices.
Oh, how about restaurants and restaurants or offices?
No, it was clearly, I'm not saying you couldn't have a restaurant in there. I'm just saying the structure is going to be able to accommodate an office. And that's all I'm asking for.
Okay, because Michael said, there could be restaurants there in that. You see what I'm saying? I didn't know if you were including everything.
No, I was really trying to honor the overlay of medical use and medical office use. And that's why it was a concern to me that the building, if it could be built to accommodate, because it's so close to the hospital and other treatment facilities, that be done. And so that's all I've asked for in this motion.
Thank you.
Huh?
Commissioner Mouch and then Commissioner Camp.
Thank you. In the staff report for the comprehensive plan information, the comprehensive plan recognizes this location falls within the suburban area. And the primary guiding principles in the suburban area, creating great neighborhoods. Creating great neighborhoods support the residential area with complementary non-residential uses in a way that creates stability and sustainability. I'm pointing this out as well as in the comprehensive plan under the suburban area, the First Colonial Medical Corridor, and that's chapter 1, page 87. Which is also cited in here. It said priority should be given to infill or redevelopment proposals that complement the area's medical and health care activities. And I look at that word priority, it should be given, and I do think that there's been priority given to that entire area, understanding the facts of what we've heard from the market. And this applicant has looked at this area and sees that the greatest fit for this area with a lot of the overlays that are on it is this use that they're applying for today. And I do think that the market should drive what goes where, with the understanding that the comprehensive plan should give it priority to what should be there. But if it's not feasible for medical at the moment, I appreciate the fact that they're accommodating the needs. So with that first floor being structurally sound for office space in the future, if there's a desire. So with that being said, I can support this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Camp?
My question is to Commissioner Plumlee so that I clearly understand, I hope, the motion that we're about to vote on. Is it your intent, the way that you have spelled out the motion, that the building may proceed as currently before us to become a single-use storage facility, and merely that it will be designed to allow some other uses on the first floor in the future? But at this time, if your motion is adopted, it would proceed as a storage unit if that is the will of the applicant?
That's a fair description, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? We have a motion on the floor for approval with a seconded by Commissioner Schoonover.
The vote is open. By a recorded vote of 9-1, items 7 and 8, Michael D. Siphon, Inc. has been recommended for approval.
I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season. I want to echo Mr. Plumlee's comments about Mr. Hayes. Been a great planner. We didn't have him long enough. He's done a great job. Hope everybody has a lovely holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes the business of our hearing today. We would like to wish Mike Hayes and Madison best on their next chapters. They're going out of state. We thank them for their service to the planning department. We welcome them back next time they're in our city, and we'll see everybody next year. Happy New Year and have a great holiday.